This is a review and ranking for the tracks off the new IDK mixtape E.T.D.S. Then I'll rate it and fit the album in the chart for 2026. I'm Jacob, and this is my 1012th album review. I like a lot of genres, but specifically enjoy punk, experimental rock, and dance pop. This is the first mixtape by IDK, but it's easily studio album quality. Maybe he's calling this a mixtape because there's a jump in quality from his earlier albums. I can only assume this is the first project I've heard from him. He's been making albums under the name IDK since 2017. The first song is just an intro track that's spoken word with strings and referencing his time in prison. For Halo, the low end is filled with a compelling bass synth line. There's another synth and piano on the track. I think it's orchestrated pretty well. The drums have a minimal feel with short sustain. The rap verses and pre-chorus are good quality, and the chorus is alright, but the instrumental is really what earns the song its keep. For Devil, there's a pitched up vocal sample on the hook that I'm not crazy for. The drums are produced well and written with a gripping rhythm. Verse 1 has a great, confident, natural delivery full of charisma, which is completely contrast to verse 2, which feels like the passion is kind of forced, like someone is telling him to overcompensate, and he's like growling during the delivery. There's a relatively pleasing synth and piano combo that fills the instrumental. And then for P.O., again, he's got another great verse. Again, he's very charismatic. He has an enthralling flow. Black Thought has an even better verse. Everything that you think he would bring to the track, he does. His classic abrupt and aggressive delivery with like added space in between the most impactful lines. The weakness of this track is the chorus, though. I'm not messing with it at all. It's like very raga-influenced melody and vocal style, but I don't think it really does justice to that genre. So far, all the songs have been good, but Clover is really just next level. It's obvious why this was his first single. The drums produced are just as good as the second track, really tight and groovy. The pauses are at the perfect moments to accentuate the incredible verses. The verses are like next level. Every line is peak here. The braggadocious first verse and the flow switches in the first verses are soaked with creativity. I mean, that's really just the peak of the song, the first verse. The chorus is immediately like infected with these distorted synths and a buzzing overlay on the vocals with a longing, sad delivery that is like perfect contrast to the groovy, bass-heavy like verse instrumental. Joey Valence and Bray give us what they excel at, the modern Beastie Boys interpretation, and they're so good at it. They're perfectly aggressive and commanding here. Verse 4 is also incredible. The whole song is perfect. I couldn't decide whether to treat Stigma like an interlude or not. It's short and obviously has very little lyrics, but it's so high quality in its instrumental and motif that it had potential to be the second best song so far, like behind Clover. If there was just like a couple verses, right? I love the spacey synths in the back and the house instrumental. He's using the same like main synth line over and over, but it's not getting old. It's high quality and produced well. Cop, though, has definitely the worst production yet. The drums are a little too splashy, and they take up too much space if you're going to have the keyboard this present. But the main problem is the melody. It's like smothered in bad auto-tune and reverb, or something that sounds like that at least. Like only during the hook is what I'm talking about, not the verses. The verses are produced well aside from like the keyboard. The keyboard sounds like something in between like a horn and like an organ, and it definitely shouldn't be here. I think it clashes too much with the mix. It would fix the drums if it wasn't here, because the combination, it's really the combination. It's hurting the space in the track with its like, the keyboard has like a brassy sound that also like clashes with the vocal production on the hook. Also, it's just like perma throughout the song. It should only be in like one section. If you took out these elements, I do think this song could like have a good bass line. It's kind of a shame. None of this is me saying that it's a bad song. I think it could just be improved. Man, IDK really killed it on this album. There's so many verses that are really high quality, much better than what you'd find in mainstream hip hop right now. The flow on the intro to start to finish, like where he goes, okay, got the beat that make me feel like a wrestler. It's so addicting. I think verse 1 as a whole is really, really great. The DMX ad-libs and the chorus are also positive. I think they fit really well in this song. Verse 2, where IDK's tone is a little whinier and he blends the lines in together. I think that was really creative. I love the energy he brings, the intensity he brings to this song. That's probably the reason that this is my second favorite so far. Scary Mary is a miss for me, but it's a miss in a good album so far. So it's really just me being indifferent to this song. The slow, like bass piano into the brief jingling high-pitched piano isn't really doing it for me, and neither is the chorus, to be honest. This song does feel Mac Miller influenced, especially on the chorus. That's what I'm hearing at least. But obviously, like it's not Faces level quality. Like that album's unbelievable, or the mixtape. The alarm sound and the beat cut during the verse 2 was a little cool, but wasn't fully committed to. I think that idea is interesting for sure, but he really just does like a brief little alarm thing. I think he could have done a lot more. The beat on First 3 is better, but not by much for me. It wouldn't make a dent into changing the track rating. Cell block freestyle is what you'd expect based on the title. It's like an acapella thing, like freestyle, until there's like a repeating, humming, snapping, clicking beat that comes in, like fully human focused. I think it's just like all a guy and his mouth and hands. I appreciate the attempt to do something like a little different, to mix it up between the tracks, but the variety is really already here. Like we're hearing a lot of variety so far. I don't think this needed to happen. Like the album has been captivating at like pretty much every point in the track list. To me, this is just like it adds a skip into the track list, and I don't know. I hate giving my input on lyrics because I feel like I have more of an education and interest in the music, and lyrics feel more subjective to me than the quality and like uniqueness of a particular instrument, for example. But lyrics are so obviously the focus of this track and what the production is leaning towards that I feel like I have to speak on them. They're incredible. He gives us a heartfelt portrayal of how heartlessly harsh the punishment of getting sentenced to prison is, and how he feels some sentences, likely referring to the time he spent, are multitudes longer than what's deserved. He illustrates the fear and inherent opposition that comes with gang activity inside these institutions with the line, "Imagine being black in a cell, and right down the block is where Aryans dwell." The whole track has brilliant storytelling with a delivery that evokes feelings of mourning, sorrow, regret, and hopeless frustration. The production on this is like so genius. It points to the vocals and accentuates them. The instrumental is minimal but lush and has notes that bend in a way that sound like a cry and are sustained as long as a breath. Drums come in during the chorus with like a meandering high-pitched piano. There's a small MF Doom inclusion that's lyrically perfect for that part, but it's like a small sprinkle on top of the incredible feat that is this song. Misogynistical is full of strings and horns in the back with an electric organ and lots of little touches. The drum production is just as good as it's been so far. This track is supposed to be more lush and orchestrated, but still, just like the last track, there's a strong focus on the lyrics, where the beat isn't obstructive enough to take away your attention. The lyrics, unfortunately, are really just fine here for me. Again, I don't really like talking about the lyrics or critiquing them at all, but they're just the focus of these last two tracks. He's talking about how he broke up with his girlfriend when he was in prison and how it hurt him a lot. The R&B style hook is also like kind of just fine for me. This one isn't that interesting to me, but the quality of everything here is engaging enough to be enjoyable. Life for Life experiments with cutting a note off before the sustain and release, almost like it's edited out. I think this is really creative, definitely, but leaves like the beat feeling, you know how sometimes you trip on a step, but then you quickly readjust and catch yourself. Okay, that's what this beat feels like. It's interesting and engaging, but I don't know if it like works great as the beat for these verses or chorus. The verses by IDK here are a little weaker than the average for this album so far, specifically the delivery and flow. The push verse is also fine, but weaker than what you'd expect from like Pusha T, right? Everyone Knows runs on a couple guitars. One is driving the main harmony and the other one is right behind it, giving it texture. They don't fit the first verse very well, in my opinion. I think verse 1 is good. It's very Andre 3000-esque, but the chorus is really bad. Like a better chorus, and my whole opinion on this song would change. It's boring, it's generic, like lazily sung. It's purposely leaning into the catchy melody stereotype. There's a blurry synth on the second verse that really doesn't do anything. The beat basically like jumps sideways. He's trying to have not too repetitive of a harmony with the guitar, which is good, right? I appreciate the switch up, but it just could have been better. Like I don't like the production on it at all. The closer has a slow piano harmony, one note at a time, then a chord, then repeat. What's really interesting about this is the tone of the piano. It's like very harsh and pretty at the same time. When the note strikes, it shakes out of tune briefly. I think that's a really cool effect, and I give my props to this song just on that alone. The lyrics, they're like okay, they have themes of regret, sorrow, and frustration. The delivery is good, but I'm not crazy about the flow. I think it could have been more interesting, but it does match the sorrow the pain evokes, so I'm unsure. And then the outro with like strings, that part is probably the best produced part of the whole album, and the lyrics on top cement this as really a great track. Overall, this album was great. Really impressive all around. IDK is exceptionally talented. This is my first time listening to him. This had great verses. The drums on this project fit very well. There's a couple of moments where the synths were produced in ways that reduced the quality of the tracks, but then the piano, when it was included, was welcome. So I don't know. Most of the hooks were weak, I felt. I think a lot of people will look at this track list and think, oh wow, this guy just landed like 7 insane features to carry his album. But to be honest, that couldn't be further from what's the truth. All of the best parts of this album came from IDK alone. His delivery and flows were good all over this thing. The features that happened were minimal, with the exception of a couple great verses from Black Thought and Joey Valence and Bray. I haven't heard anything by IDK before this, and the quality here really greatly compels me to check out his earlier stuff. And I'm excited for what he brings us next. This album is a 5 for me right now, but so close to being a 6, like way closer than anything else this year. Anyways, that's the review. I want to mention that the chart on the end of the video is not fixed once my score is given. As I re-listen, some of the scores will change throughout the coming months, and the newest version of the chart will always be up to date every video. I'll be reviewing every significant album released this year, so please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a day or two.